Phantom Stranger number 9, written by JMD Mateus, art by Fernando Blanco. So last issue, we basically had the breakdown of the guy who Phantom Stranger stole the life of to become Philip Stark has become a thing called the Sin Eater, and he's the one who kidnapped Phantom Stranger's family. And once Phantom Stranger was brought back to quote-unquote life, he vowed that it's time to take care of this. So this issue opens up in hell. Phantom Stranger is being tortured while Etrigan is sitting there just playing a tune on a harmonica. Sorry, a lute. And Phantom Stranger's just like, I didn't know you were a musician, Etrigan. And he's like, nah, I'm just playing a hell song. It soothes the savage beast, but this song is things from your own soul. And then we see a bunch of vultures over top of Phantom Stranger as he's strung up on this tree. And they all start picking at Stranger, but he's like, well, I chose this. This is on me. I'll just accept my punishment and continue on with my unlife. And all of the vultures start coalescing. And it's like, well, if you're just going to accept the punishment, what's the point of it? This is hell, Stranger. You need to beg for mercy. And as they coalesce, they become the Sin Eater, which Phantom Stranger's basically like, look, you can wait for all of eternity. I'm not going to beg. I'm not going to beg for mercy. Like, this is exactly what I know. I did the right thing here. And he's like, all right, fine, whatever. And in the middle of the torturing, Phantom Stranger flashes back to right where we left off last issue. And Justice League Dark is like, I'm sorry, you know where your family is and who took them? And it's like, yeah, no, totally. But like, he brought them to hell. He consigned them to the pits of hell. I need help from you guys to get there. And it's like, well, you can't exactly just like ring the doorbell and walk in. It's like, right, but you guys are the Justice League Dark. Are you telling me the great Constantine can't help? And I was like, okay, I see what you're doing. But yeah, no, we'll do it. So they spend quite a few days or whatever just like cracking open books and figuring out like how to do it. And then eventually they find a way to send Phantom Stranger into hell. But they don't exactly have an exit plan. That's more or less on him, but they managed to get him in there. And he's like, fair enough, thank you. And so he walks into this horrible looking version of himself, and the mouth is open. He walks into the mouth and he says, Zatanna, if you believe in prayer, say one, but not for me, for my family. And the mouth closes shut as he then comes out into hell. And turns out that hell is different for everybody. Obviously, it's based off your own personal things. But even then, the demons there are representative of your own personal sins and demons. And so they start coming after Phantom Stranger. And he's like, luckily, I've spent my entire life dodging my own demons. So he just uses a little bit of like a trickery spell to force the demons to go after each other. And then at that point, Etrigan shows up along with Sin Eater. And he's like, hey, I'm Etrigan. By the way, he's rhyming this entire time. I will not do that. So he's like, hey, I'm Etrigan. Sin Eater here wanted to handle you all by himself, but he's not in charge of hell. So Lucifer sent me to be like the guide, more or less. And so Sin Eater and Phantom Stranger basically start fighting more or less because he's like, oh, show me where my family is. And Etrigan's like, okay, enough. Let's take a walk. So they walk their way into this town of Starkville, which is, of course, a representation of some extent of Philip Stark. And he basically says, like, you know, Stranger, like, life doesn't have a purpose. And he just gets, like, philosophical for a while of basically, like, I have spent my entire unlife, like, everything after death, planning this, making it so I could take this away from you. So I want you to really appreciate what I've done here. And as they make their way into the torn down, decrepit version of the house that they lived in, he makes his way upstairs and he sees his wife and 2 children, but they are essentially just husks. They are completely empty and devoid. And Stranger basically can't stand to see it. Cut away, real quick, Terrence 13, who stabbed Phantom Stranger through the heart. He's feeling awful about it, the fact that he feels that he killed Phantom Stranger. Question shows up briefly, possibly not even there. And he's like, oh, you think a man like that deserves to live? He's horrible. He's an awful person. And Terrence 13 is like, I still feel really bad about it. So anyway, At the end of that, Sin Eater reveals that what he did to them was not only just like taking away their lives, it's worse than that. He took away their ability to like love or feel love, which is apparently what separates man from beast, more or less, because now they're just horrible, unthinking, strictly instinct creatures, and they have no empathy or feeling of like love towards anyone. So Stranger goes, tries to connect with her, the wife. She just almost bites his lip off, and he's like, no, there must be a way. I can't abandon them here. And basically Sin Eater's like, now this is your fault. Like, if you had just left things alone, if you would let me kill them, they would have been in heaven. But instead, now they're down here in hell. And he's like, you would have murdered them. Alive is better than dead. And it's like, psh, you sure? Does this seem like it's better? So at that point, Etrigan, he turns to Etrigan and says, like, look, you know they don't belong here, but you know that I do. I'm the one who betrayed Jesus Christ. Like, you know I belong. And Etrigan's like, careful, buddy. I have a feeling what you're about to say, but like, it's not something you should say carefully. But he's like, I will take their place. See if that's okay with your boss. I will take the place of these three, and you can put me in chains. And Etrigan's like, all right, fair enough. And all the demons come together to see this going on. Stranger has to carry out his family on his back, and he's more than willing to do so until finally they reach a lake of fire. The demons take his family away, saying, look, we know you. We know your tricks. We'll only let them go back to being alive when it's proven that you actually mean it, that you're going to stay here forever. And he's like, fair enough, but how do I know that you're telling the truth about letting them free? And Etrigan's like, you can trust me. And he's like, fair enough. I feel like I can actually trust Etrigan. That's weird. So Ferryman comes across a lake of fire. Turns out it's Spectre, but like he doesn't say anything, so Phantom Stranger's not even sure if it actually is Spectre. But regardless, we then cut back to now when Sin Eater's like, okay, here's the thing. I talked to the people in charge of hell, and they agree with me that someone who's down here being punished for a righteous cause isn't really being punished at all. So I've come up with a new punishment, and here's the thing that will let your family finally be taken back to being free. You have to give up your love of them. All of your memories of your family, all of your caring for them, those will be taken away. And only in the fact that you will never know them again will they be free. And he hates this idea, but he's like, swear to me that you'll let them go. And he's like, yeah, no, totally. It's like, all right, yeah, I do it. And he gives up his memory of his loved ones. And that's it. They're free. And at that point, Etrigan points out, Sin Eater has no reason to be here in hell anymore. He sends him away, and he's like, yeah, I'm going back to the land of Non. But don't worry, man. We'll be meeting again soon. Etrigan sets Phantom Stranger free from his torture tree, and as he wakes up, he hears a voice, and he's like, oh, Etrigan, is that you? Turns out, no. It's God in the form of that little dog again. And he's like, look, here's the thing, Stranger. I saw what you did, and hell may be okay with you being punished for crimes that you did or did not do, but like, I saw what you did there, and as such, I intervened. You're able to, you remember your family again. You're free from being tortured. You have done your penance for that one specific thing, not for the Jesus Christ thing. I want to make that clear. For the family thing, you've done your penance. And he's like, yeah, no, you've been able to keep your soul and your memories and all that. And so Stranger's like, oh, so they're alive again? Like they're good? And he's like, well, they're free. They're not alive. Remember, I told you to let them die that night. Like, that was part of my plan. So I've managed to get my plan back on track. I've put them back in heaven. So if you want to go see them, you have to go up to paradise. And we see this staircase coming out of hell. And Phantom Stranger's like, oh, geez, I'm not ready for that. I liked it. It felt a little bit like quick to wrap up. The fact that this is the plot that's been going on since like issue 1. And only now we're getting this sort of like, okay, but now they're free, but now they're up in heaven. So even then, I guess it's not done. But the fact that we got the person who did it in the first place has been taken care of has been sent back and like he's no longer in control of the situation. Now it's literally God. I like the pivot there, but I also kind of wish that like this singular story would be wrapped up. I think that the family being in heaven should be the end point. Like they weren't able to be saved. Phantom Stranger is a tragic character, but like they're in heaven. They aren't being punished for things that they didn't do. I think it should be left at that. We'll see if that's how next issue goes. But as for this one, it was good. It was solid. I like the idea of Stranger having to sacrifice himself for this. It gives a bit more agency to the character than just this person who stands back and watches these things unfold. So overall, I enjoyed it. I'm going to give it a, I don't know. 8 feels too high, so I'll say 7.5. It is very good. I am enjoying it a lot. I also just enjoy anytime God shows up at that little dog. Like it just gets a laugh out of me every time. So yeah, 7.5 for this. We'll see what happens next time in heaven.